Okay, so there was a typo in the,
primary concern is this, is that, at this point.
okay, so there was a typo in the commitment, which I think you could see. And typically what we would do to change and fix this problem is just have Jason re-sign a deed, which we know that's not an option. So the title company is able to insure for the buyer, which is great. They're gonna insure over this title issue basically, and they're gonna just say, we're gonna go through and let it close, not a problem. So the new documents will have the correct legal on it, okay?
Okay,
So we just had to tie it all together, so they want basically that document saying, we just want everyone to sign it and acknowledge the fact. But because they're insuring for both policies, it's an excellent situation. We don't.
it's a what, can
Is
you
it-
take me on speaker? I'm really sorry, you're terribly garbled and I'm having a hard time understanding you.
Okay. All right, sorry, is that better? Yeah, okay, sorry. Yeah. Frustrating, okay. So in any event, in any event, the title company who is insuring for the buyer, they are willing to insure over for both the lender and the owner's policy, which I think in this case is actually a cash buyer. No, this is just making sure that everyone has acknowledged that there was a typo. It's just basically an acknowledgement form. That's about it. You're not on the hook for anything on that. Okay? Correct. Yep. Mm-hmm. Okay. Let me see. Are you referring to the email I sent you? Okay, let me bring it up. Oh, are you? Okay, hang on. Item 3 was, I just sent you all the documents you're going to be signing, just so you could review them. It was a breakdown of all the costs, so you could see your bottom line, and then everything that you would be signing at closing. Yep. Okay. Okay. Oh. Mm-hmm. 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 Oh. Mm-hmm. Okay. Mm-hmm. Okay. Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Oh, really? Okay. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. You would say, sign something saying you would be responsible, is that what you're saying? Mm-hmm. Okay. Okay. Mm-hmm. Would he be willing to do that? Okay. Okay. Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, why don't you just keep, both Mark and I updated, and then I know at this point, Mark has had a discussion with the other agent about, possibly, maybe the buyer assuming this, but I don't know if that's gonna happen either. There could be a monetary value put to that, I'm not sure. But they're trying to figure it out on their end as well as what the buyer may be willing to do to make this all happen on Monday. So, why don't you keep progressing on your end, and they'll keep progressing on the buyer's end. Mm-hmm. Oh, I see what you're saying, okay. Yeah. Gotcha. All right, well, I'll let Mark know what our discussion was. You just keep going with your spot, because it looks like you're making progress. And they will keep going on this end and see what we can figure out. And are you willing to escrow anything if there was an escrow situation, or you're not willing to do that either? Well, if they agreed that, okay, we would close on Monday and we'd escrow X amount of dollars, and I have no idea what that dollar amount would be. But just until that, this all got figured out, whether it was, inspected and cleared by the city, or whether it got re-roofed or whatever, you would eventually get that money back, but if the roofer was actually gonna be paying for it, but in any event, it would be leverage for everyone to know that there's money sitting here with this escrow account, or with the title company knowing. You know what, I don't even know what a monetary value would be, it just could be, but it doesn't mean that you're gonna lose it, it just means that it's gonna be held until everything is done and rectified. That's an option, but I don't know if you're wanting to do that. Well, it would come out of your proceeds. So whatever proceeds. Okay. Why don't you see how the day goes with what you're doing, but that would be a way to actually let it close on Monday. And of course, they would put a time limit on things and stuff like that, so you'd kind of want to know, you want to have some kind of concrete decision with your roofer, what his is. And what was the time frame on that, if he was to do that, did he tell you? Mhm. Mhm. Right, okay. Mm. Yeah. Right, no, I understand, yeah. Okay, well, why don't you, yeah, let's just, keep the emails coming, let us know, at least we're not dealing with the lender, it's a cash transaction, so that makes it easier for less, like, it's between you and the buyer at this point, there's no lender putting their 2 cents in about what they require, so that's good. That makes things easier, so let's just, this is not till noon on Monday, let us know, in an email, or you can certainly call me too if you have any updates, and we'll just kind of keep in communication. All right, sounds like a busy day, thanks a lot. Bye-bye. Okay. All right, so, the bathroom is pretty much ready done. She needs a measurement and get it, they'll close that permit, so she's not worried about that. The roofer, they're worried because they never did a mid-inspection when it was open. So therefore, the city does not just put their stamp of approval on it because they should have been called out there. Well, they had a roofing company come do it. And apparently that roofer was out there with the inspector yesterday and they almost got in a fight. So, long story short is...
Trauma.
Long story short, she said, here are my options. We can postpone closing. Or we can, and she said, postpone closing until because she's gonna have the roofer rip it off and put it back on at his cost.
She's an idiot.
So I said, well, what's your time frame? She goes, I don't know, but I've been jacking around with this guy for 2 years. It should have been done 2 years ago. So if he doesn't get it done within 30 days, I will file a lawsuit against him.
Doesn't get you closed.
Yeah. So that's why I brought up the escrow situation, because she said, I'm not paying for this roof. But an escrow doesn't mean she is. They're just holding the money. You know what I mean? It's her money, but if she gets this builder or this roofer to actually do it on his dime, then she'll get the money back.
Another problem is she's deciding for herself rather than leading us what her options are.
Yeah.
She made those options up on her own mind, not,
Or
just
then
not
she
on
said
her own
have some
understanding.
affidavits signed. Well, affidavits aren't gonna really do
Learned that in
anything,
law
but-
school, but not from any of us.
Yeah. So that's where she's at. She goes, it could come together. She said, but it was actually a blowout between the two of them yesterday, and I had to be the go-between. And so when I hear that, I'm thinking the inspector has no interest in getting this. You know what I mean? When there's a blowout, but it doesn't sound like it was from her though.
Well, the big thing, one of the things is if the buyer assumes this, nobody cares. She doesn't have to have it re-roofed at this point. She's going down a road that, doesn't need to be done, at least up now, because it does sound like the buyer wants the property and would be willing to assume it.
Okay.
She's not clear about what the issue was with the roof, if it's a perceived issue or an issue at all, because it never came up in their inspection. Never came up in the buyer's
And
inspection.
it probably isn't an issue, you know how we are, but it
So-
just wasn't
so-
inspected
yeah.
at one point during the process. So she said she had found some pictures, and she said so much to me, I don't know. But she said that doesn't work. But I guess what I would do with you, with the other agent at this point, is her big thing is she doesn't want to pay for anything, okay, for this roof. That's what I'm gathering. So if the buyer's willing to assume it with no monetary value, I think that everything would just be fine.
Yeah, I think that because they're taking on closing out of permits and working to do something that the seller happens to be Angie, but any seller agreed to do,
Yeah,
that they're gonna want
something.
a little something, a couple $100 or something. She's probably gotta understand that. But, and she would probably in the same position too. There's also a big gun safe in the basement that she agreed, as per the purchase agreement, to have removed, but she emailed me or texted me yesterday, I think I forwarded it to you, where that's not an option, the house would fall apart if we moved it, it has to stay. you know, so there's some things she isn't meeting in this thing too, but I think the buyers are still gonna want the house. And I do think too that she's, you know, I mean, I hate to say it, but she's got the widow card. I mean, people help her along because, you know, she's under distress. But she, you know, it would help things if she wouldn't be trying to figure them out herself.
Yeah.
It's what got us into this mess. So, I don't know.
Well, she's gonna keep